The Secret Enemy, otherwise known as Enemies Among Us, is a political thriller directed by Dan Garcia, starring Billy Zane and Eric Roberts. Chip Majors, the governor of Louisiana, had it all. In a presidential election year, he is the frontrunner for the vice presidential nominee of his party. Unfortunately, the dark secrets of his past as a covert NSA operative come back to haunt him. He finds himself fighting not only for his political career, but also for his life. With a level of political discourse found in the dumpster fire that is the comment section of any given mainstream media outlet's website, The Secret Enemy is a hard-boiled yet simultaneously half-baked film that rode the Occupy Wall Street wave and spouted out antiquated talking points, and some not so antiquated, as well as a few conspiracy theories to keep things spicy. What kills this film ultimately is the numerous talking head scenes featuring crazy atonal editing that tries to hide the fact, as well as wooden acting and stilted dialogue. No matter how many Politico articles the screenwriter read, the outward smugness is very unappealing, and I doubt claims of satire. I mean, satire doesn't necessarily have to be funny, at all. But all I heard in this film was vacuous impressions and lazy stereotyping, with no wit, observation, or rhythm even to be seen or heard. There is some action scenes and a bit of southern sleaze even to justify all this hot air, and these elements have their dad movie charm, but it's too little too late. Throw in porno production quality, stock footage and music, and you have a truly Cajun recipe for disaster. If you want to see a political thriller done on the cheap, and done right also, I also recommend 2013's WMD, or President Down as it's known in the UK. If you want to see a tax break masquerading as a film and have it heavily suggest this to be fact within the film itself, yes, there's a thing that pretty much happened, then I advise with caution treading upon The Secret Enemy. Miss Sloane stars Jessica Chastain as a ruthless Washington lobbyist risking everything on behalf of her ethics. Chastain is a solid lead in this well-polished hybrid of character study and political thriller. The film feels very much in the now in that the exposition needed for a high-concept plot is pushed through characters you are so busy loving to hate to notice the lack of a second dimension or even the simplicity of the narrative. The real ace up this film's sleeve is the clarity with which the lobbyist trade is presented. How influence over senators is sown, reaped, and paid for. If an understanding of what a lobbyist actually does is what you're looking for, then you will get a lot of insight here. Playing out like a combination of Mad Men and House of Cards, with some Devil Wears Prada thrown in for some good measure, Miss Sloane wisely focuses upon the mechanics of this highly controversial, if not wholly parasitic profession. The behind closed doors activity of the build-up to a Senate bill is well dramatized here to the point where I can say that it is even informative. So what we have is good, if not great acting, a fully loaded plot and high quality production value. I've described this film, I've also described several HBO mini-dramas. What makes the feature-length film Miss Sloane a feature-length film is a question I want to ask. It's refreshing to cover a direct-to-DVD film for once that warrants this amount of minutiae, I want to add. I can pinpoint it to two things. One is the condensed character arc of the protagonist, second is the economy of the dialogue. Whether it was because of Chastain's performance or the intensifying manipulation of the score, but Sloane's outbursts over issues she really cares about feels very conscious on the part of the film. I am conflicted whether this interferes with the flow of the picture or plants the flag emotionally within a plot which is at times very hard to follow, especially when the film descends into mumblecore now and again. Secondly, as I said, the dialogue is at times too straightforward, even when considering the world in which the film inhabits. This as well was very noticeable, and I consider it to be a necessary evil, and it was a good decision to sacrifice dramatic resonance in order to sustain the pace of the film. There could have been a better score, more dynamic cinematography, but I think there is enough to make Miss Sloane a proper feature film and not something resembling a TV drama omnibus. In conclusion, Miss Sloane is a high recommendation as a really good drama and political thriller. At last! President Under Siege, originally known as The Prime Minister, is a Belgian political thriller from 2016, written and directed by Eric van Looy. Or is it Louis? I don't fucking care. It's about the Prime Minister of Brussels being forced to kill the President of the United States, or his family will get killed by a bunch of Queenie mercenaries. Even though it had a happy ending, like all fairy tales do, President Under Siege seems to be nothing more than a depressing Dogma 95 era European drama shoveled into a very Hollywood thriller, in that it is both high octane and incredibly retarded. The villains possess sci-fi gadgetry like in the Fast and Furious films, their motivations are flimsy and laughably vapid. This mixture of art house and blockbuster never gels. The lo-fi aspect of the production values makes the improbability of the plot all that more evident. This small-time Brussels effort simply doesn't have enough money to make you take it seriously. You couple this with the aforementioned overbearingly sinister henchmen, the off-tone fantastical plot, and even some potential misogyny, what you get is a film that is either a convoluted fable about adultery or an overreaching high-concept thriller that tried to cover up its lack of resources with a fake realist aesthetic that comes off as an incredibly stupid decision due to the overblown plot. The few things that you can say good about this film is that the cinematography is good and that screenplay, boy, that screenplay. Evidently a lot of passion was put into it, a bit a chintzy and sadistic passion. President Under Siege is a muddling Belgian political thriller that simply has no fucking idea what it wants to do. Oh, the irony. So, to wrap up this shit, The Secret Enemy is tax rebate southern trash with no charm. Miss Sloane is a really good political thriller and a good film on lobbyists as well. And President Under Siege is dumb, smug, and feels cheap. Goodbye.